Where does the food that goes through me, where does it go? You can currently get a compost toilet that's manufactured and NSF approved, but it costs $3,000 or more. So we wanted to try some models that only cost $300. This is the barrel compost toilet system. This is on one of these barrels right now. The red funnel diverts the urine and keeps it separate from the fecal matter. The urine we hatch through this tube into a little gas can there. So then we can dilute that with rainwater and fertilize the soil around the root zone of whatever plants we want to fertilize. There's another option for the guys. So we have this standing urinal, and this enables us to experiment with a slightly different system. Where here, the urine goes down into just about here. It's a 5-gallon plastic bucket, and we cut it in half so it's only this tall because we wanted to distribute the urine in the top root zone of the soil where there's more soil life, more natural filtering of the nitrogen and whatnot that's in the urine, and have it utilized by the trees and the plants just outside. So this is more of a hands-off system. It just is dispersed into the soil and is filtered by the soil life, whereas this system is more hands-on. What happens is when this barrel fills up, I will then unhook the platform and I lift the whole thing up, and then I will put it down. I'll come over here to the furthest barrel. This has been sitting for a year and a half. Okay, so I will just take everything out of there with a shovel, put it in a wheelbarrow, and I'll put it under my fruit trees. That's free fertilizer, on-site fertilizer. Totally safe. We just go in this motion. Once that's full, I'll empty this one and we'll put the platform there. We just go that way. So this is our fully composted human manure, or humanure. We've had this tested by University of Arizona labs. The finished compost far, far, far exceeds in quality all the municipal standards for municipal composting. Folks have been taking our
欢迎 uncut 2进入直播间。
Yeah, it's been
欢
going
迎
down.
Olive 进入直播间。
Particularly here in the dryland environment of Tucson, Arizona, water is of the utmost precious resource. So why would I want to literally crap in my drinking water?
Your
欢迎
next
彩
memory
色
is
蓝
out
蓝
there.
进入直播
It
间。
might be a small one or a giant leap. Maybe it's a memory of you alone, or one with him, or them. It could feel like magic. Or it might just warm your heart. Your next memory is out there. It's just waiting to be made. To new memories, Hilton, and our family of hotels.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find really good, no, perfect words that make your writing sharp, or explicit, or excellent, or distinctive. As a matter of fact, for what it's worth, Grammarly can, yeah, that's long. We can get rid of that, and this, good, and this, or how about this? Grammarly helps you be concise. If your tone might make someone feel like this, Grammarly can remind you. It would help if you soften your
达到
tone.
犬说，突然想到成龙历险记里的老爹，
And if
年
you need
轻
the
的时
support,
候也常。
Grammarly encourages you to write confidently. Because the better we all communicate, the better we
达到
connect.
犬说，差不多也长这样。
Grammarly, helping you connect. Go to Grammarly.com and download today.
I can't stand
欢迎
turning
Yumia 进
resources
入
into
直播间。
waste. And then the rainwater caught here goes right into the urinal, which then helps dilute the urine and, water the root zone of the trees.
And then have it finished.
Hot
欢
out
迎
of the
飞龙
soil.
脊进入直播间。
Oh man. No good.
赵素米说，是一挂的。
So what I'm trying to do here is to live in a system where I can see, where does my water come from? Where does my food come from? And how can I cycle it and recycle it in a way that it generates more food? Here we have a desert ironwood tree. This has peanut flavored nuts. And when they're green, we harvest them and process them like edamame. This is the jojoba. We don't use it for food, but you can make an oil for like hair conditioners and whatnot out of the nut here. Some people like it as a coffee substitute, but I use it more for the more industrial oils and so on. Here we have the mesquite. This is like our native carob. So when these turn all yellow, this we can grind into a naturally sweet edible flour. We can sell that for $14 a pound.
Do you?
Yeah. So we can make $25 an hour harvesting, processing, and selling these mesquite pods and the flour that results from them without ever leaving the neighborhood. Mesquite flour, so yummy. Chiltepines, wild chilies, the mother of all chilies. Prickly pear juice. These are the flower buds of the choy cactus, which are higher in calcium by volume than milk. And all these foods slow the body's intake of sugars. So they're not just delicious, nutritious foods, they're also very good for you. And this is the fruit from the iconic saguaro cactus of the Sonoran Desert. Yeah. So when I grew up here, when I was your guys' age, my family is not from here, so we didn't even know what we could eat. I didn't find out about this till years later. But every plant that you guys see
欢迎
here
Ed Notice 进入直播间。
Really?
But most people that live here have no idea. And then we made this little cookbook that shows you how to make mole with the mesquite, pizza, and scones from the cactus fruit, ice cream, crackers from the mesquite, prickly pear syrup from the prickly pear cactus fruit. And this just kind of gives some of the story of how we harvest and have community millings. We want people to engage with this. So this isn't just about planting trees and shade and wildlife habitat and food. This is also about community building. So if you're out here picking the fruit from the cactus or the trees, you're much more likely to see a neighbor and to say hello. And
欢
they'll
迎粉色
oftentimes
卡
engage, what are you
奇进
doing?
入直
So
播间。
knowledge spreads, okay? And you're no longer just a housing development, now you're in a community of people that know each other. We're trying to use our property, our yard and everything as kind of an experimental lab, a playground. And then we're trying to share our successes with the community at large. Our neighborhood, when we moved here, it was just such a bleak streetscape, and you didn't really want to be outside. When we started doing this, we were the only folks doing it in the neighborhood. Now 75% of the folks living on our block are harvesting water in their public right-of-way for street trees. You can go to just about any neighborhood in Tucson and you will see at least one person doing it. Good, how you doing? And once that one person starts, other people will see, interact, and they'll start doing it. It's that you plant that seed and it spreads. Hey, how's it going? Long time no see, man. When he was a kid, we roped him in and he was helping do...
I helped do the garden. And
Yeah.
my mom, I remember when it was a fight to get her to plant these trees
Right.
out front. She's like, I don't want those trees. I'm gonna have to maintain them. I was telling them how you never wanted the trees. No, now she likes them. Because you get to back your car out and park under the shade. But
Yeah, living carport.
back then she was like, I hate the trees.
There's a shade in the porch.
Yeah, that's nice.
From the tree she always hated.
It helps my plants which need the shade.
Yeah,
So because of that, my porch is all green.
nice, nice.
Yeah, that was a tree she never wanted.
So these are Sonora suckerfish, an indigenous fish to here. So just a quarter mile that way is the Santa Cruz River, which used to flow year-round. Just about 70 years ago, anyone in this neighborhood could walk from their home to the river, fish their dinner, because these fish are 14 inches long. So this is telling us of what we lost in a very short period of time. But it's also telling us of what we could regain if we change the way we're
欢
doing
迎
things.
BILI 4288-033-632-6238
The horned
进入
lizard
直播间
is。so well adapted to the dry conditions of this place, it literally harvests rainwater off its back. So when it rains, it lifts its rear legs, so it slopes its back and its roof of its back to its mouth. And then it flares out its back to maximize the surface area of the roof. And then small gutters between its scales direct the water directly to its mouth. So it's a water harvesting animal. So it's telling us, well, we too should do that. How can we infiltrate rather than drain the rain?
Head & Shoulders gives you up to 100% dandruff protection.
That's why you're being forced to watch 100% of this commercial. Don't worry, just focus your eyes on our incredible flake-free hair.
That's right, Troy.
98,
99,
100.
Take it up to 100 with clinically proven Head & Shoulders.
Oh, look, we do have a little bit of puddle, but that is not because of any water harvesting work. That is water that's currently not being captured by this residence, water coming off the roof, falling in the yard, and then draining out their walkway into where people walk. It's the low spot. This costs no more than the price of a shovel to start. It's just moving dirt and rock. That's the key of it all. Plant the rain, plant the living pumps, grow more life. Yeah, I do rainwater cisterns too, but that's not the juicy part as much as this, because this is the free, anybody can do this. This area here, this is getting 20 times normal rainfall. What we did is we just dug a very gradual and shallow dip. And so the bottom of this dip is the same elevation as that inlet point. That was the street curb, the inlet, first basin, overflow dip, and now this basin is totally full. So we've dramatically increased the capacity of our basins by not just having one, but two interconnected ones. So during a rainstorm, and for about 30 minutes after, you gotta walk through about 3-4 inches of water. The city's not thrilled with my little dip action because for about 30 minutes after the rain stops, we've got these little puddles here in the pathway. But I want to point out something to you. Let's look at the public right-of-way where there's no water harvesting, and there's lots of puddles there. So it's not like we're creating a situation that didn't already exist. And in fact, this water will infiltrate much more quickly than that water in those puddles because we've got all this root system that's rapidly absorbing the water. So even in that 15-minute duration storm, both basins are full.
欢迎 BIFYSH 进入直播间。
But the city's not thrilled about this because they don't want any water on the path ever, even if it's only for a 20-minute period after the rain stops.
You can't convince the city to let water sit on the sidewalk.
Well, not yet, but when we started the curb cuts, that was illegal. And now that helped inform change of city policy. So when we started, that was illegal. Now it's legal. It's rebated. You can get up to a $2,000 rebate for harvesting rainwater. And it's mandated in new city street construction. They have to harvest at minimum a half-inch rainstorm's worth of water along the city streets using that street runoff. So if we create an effective enough, enticing enough example, we can shift policy. The life speaks for itself. And this is costing the city nothing because it is the citizenry that is paying for the work, maintaining the work, okay, and doing more of the work. This book, it's rainwater harvesting strategies, like how you can convert a draining neighborhood into a harvesting neighborhood. A lot of comparative illustrations showing typical way of doing things and the potential of how we could easily shift things.
I wrote, though, rainwater harvesting books to enable people to see in a new way. Because for me to get to where I am, I had to see in a new way. You know, I was used to the model of just turn on the tap and get your water, but you don't know where that comes from. plant plastic pipe before you plant a tree to irrigate that tree.
Another downspout, more water caught through here. It's just one after another.
But I've since learned, wow, I can just plant the free rain. I don't need any plastic pipe. It doesn't require a water bill. It doesn't require constant maintenance by me.
欢迎咸鱼 C 进入直播间。
If we're going to bring back our Santa Cruz River, a river that used to flow year-round through downtown Tucson for thousands of years, okay, I think we can bring it back by every yard is a contributing sub-watershed to the larger watershed. And the more critical mass we get, the greater the success of the overall endeavor.
What is that?
Mine. Why?
It's just that it's...
Lavender? Yes, it is. It's for men.
But I like the smell of it.
欢迎程菊友进入直播间。
Mando, thank you for coming.
Experience the biggest series.
I've been quested with returning this child to the Jedi.
In the galaxy.
You know this is no place for a child.
Wherever I go, he goes.
So I've heard.
The Mandalorian. All episodes now streaming.
欢迎 BILI 688135552进入直播间。
Dad, that's where we're gonna cook.
What is this? A refrigerator. Wow.
One for this part.
I'm gonna eat. That is a bed.
There's one here, and look, one on top of here. Huh?
Oh, wow, look at that.
You guys gonna sleep up there?
I'm gonna sleep like this. I like this because we don't fall.
欢迎不知 iCrop 进入直播间。
This is a window.
Hi. So is this a car or a house?
A car.
Or is it a house?
It's a car that in a way resembles a house. There's a kitchen, fridge, 2 tables, a sofa that turns into a bed, a top bed, and it's not way longer than a regular car.
They don't have everything in a house. They don't have a toilet.
We're gonna bring the potty.
欢迎创文者进入直播间。
You guys ready? See you soon.
That's for you.
Right now.
欢迎西河山伯爵进入直播间。
I've never traveled with my home in tow, but last summer I had stories to film along the West Coast, and I wanted to experiment with just how much shelter was necessary for our family of 5. So we bought a used camper van and moved in.
Really? The perks are gonna end soon.
This looks like a school bus. Look at the wheel.
Why not just do a regular motorhome?
I think it will be even worse gas mileage. Look, I mean, it's a different type of vehicle. It also loses lots of aesthetics, and you are making the statement. I'm carrying all the comfortability of a house in here, maybe a plasma TV or something, toilet probably, and this is still quite roomy. It's size is a minivan. We have another there, another motorhome. Traveling with a shoulder, I always thought it was a little bit too trying to emulate a house. Why emulating a house where you can have the freedom of a car plus a little bit of cash or credit card, and then you can sleep and eat in places. But then all of a sudden you're a family of 5 and you make numbers and you say, okay, so what about if I try to create an experience out of the car itself? I'm Gulliver.
Just making breakfast.
But I have to bend over.
Because I am a giant, and this is Lilliput, they call it. And Lilliput is a place
欢迎吉林君进入直播
that
间
are。smaller than you. I wonder why these things are not as popular as they were before in the 60s and 70s. Probably it's a little bit of mentality to travel in a way that is very old school, which is, going slow, on the road with no comfortabilities such as very easy to drive car with air conditioning.
Grab the air conditioning. So you can take your pants off, it'll cool you down.
It's possible that's as cool as it can be because I think it's cooler outside.
I think it's cooler outside. It's not really air conditioning, it's climate control. So they have A, air distribution level. B, the temperature control level. The third one down is the air distribution lever for fresh air ventilation. And the fourth one down is air distribution lever for roof air outlets in passenger compartment.
And now we have this digital...
Yeah.
Mommy,
yeah.
we take this off.
Yes, you can take that off.
I mean, I'm hot, I'm warm, but not sweating.
Definitely sweating, but your body sort of acclimates to no AC.
I'm still warm.
It's 108 degrees in Reading right now. That's where we are.
Yes, I know. I can feel it. As long as we drink water, it's almost like, it's very strange.
Ness, where are you?
Here. In a farm.
Modern societies evolved with people being attached somewhere.
Don't get lost.
I won't.
Like in Basque Country, people have the last name of people is the house where the family comes from, and that's Europe in general. And the West at least is very attached to the land where you settle. That's you. So having something like that, you become more a paleo person in the sense that you are a nomad. We are people just attached. We're just people anchored to the land.
Oh, there you are.
Which is
赵素
fine,
米说：“
but
水果
it
哥
is also attractive to become once in a while a paleo person and become so frugal that you just notice that you are so light. You don't have the weight of the land you are working on or you are paying for. So you become lighter, and I think somehow your mood improves. Not sure about the long term though.
Using the road as a way to lighten your load has become a cliche in America. But there's another type of mobile homeowner growing in numbers in the US. These are people using the freedom of a home on wheels without the constant travel to find some sort of peace.
Nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, likewise. It's been a long time,
This
couple
is great.
years.
The location's really nice.
Yes.
I was commuting 2 hours a day, going to a job I hated, overweight, unhappy, kind of middle-class plight, I guess. Logan was like, well, why don't we move into a smaller apartment? We can save money, pay off some debt. And I was like, no way, I don't want to give up my stuff. But of course, kind of got on board. We have, our kind of basic clothes. So this opens to our closet. And we have Logan's, my clothes.
I actually take up more than my share of the closet.
After we started downsizing, I found this thing called the 100 Thing Challenge. The idea being like narrow down your personal items to under 100 things. I love my camera. Here are Logan's books. Mine are up in the loft by my bedside. I don't have many books. I have probably 10 books. I used to have hundreds. I have a standing workstation, so like I stand here and I type. But we also have our
欢迎严酷鼠进入直播间。
IKEA fold-out desk. This is the one that we use for eating a lot of times too.
You could say this is really expensive in terms of square footage, but it's less than a car would cost, and we could pay for it in cash, and then if we moved, we could take it with us.
Right, because you've moved.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's been kind of not ideal circumstances. My dad had a massive stroke, and I spent the first basically 6 months of 2012 traveling back and forth to help take care of him. And then he passed away in June, and prior to that, Logan's job was transferred to Boston, and so we knew he would be out of a job in Portland, and we were like, we've got to move back home to Northern California because this is too far from family. I wanted to be close to my mom. We'd love to be here forever, but I also know that life can change in an instant, so it's like, well, if we ended up having to move to an apartment for whatever reason, I mean, that's okay. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the point with this lifestyle, to give yourself that flexibility. Even though the past year has been a lot of upheaval with moving the house, like it's harder than you think to move the tiny house and stressful and all that. But it's like last year, it's like, oh my God, lose my dad, Logan's job, moving 3 times. It's a lot of change. A lot. So, but I'm really grateful we've had that flexibility to really be there for family. When my dad was so ill last year, I could help take care of him. I was there when he died, and it's like, it sucks, but it's also a gift. I mean, how many people get to take care of their parents when they're in that state, or they want to, but they can't because they have to pay for a $4,000 mortgage? Like,
freedom.
Yeah.
There are angels on the highway, angels on the road, angels in my bedroom, but not in my home. There are angels all around us, can you hear the sound?
This sort of vehicle suits more a DIY sort of trip, a self-reliance trip. It has 2 comfortable beds, and you can cook inside.
Mami, puc ajudar-te?
Hem de tenir en compte, Ximena, que això és foc de veritat, eh? Això no és pas... que sembla de joguina.
Sí.
Sembla de joguina, però és de veritat, que sí?
Sí, però podem cremar.
Since I remember, when I was a kid, I just pretty much liked little cabins and tree houses. People just chop onion in these humongous places with a lot of room. For instance, I would be one summer with 2 friends in this small town in Spain. We tried to create this hidden little cabin out of sticks and not allowed more.
Do you like this house?
Yes. I like it because it pops out.
Oh, the thing about this man is that the girls are so excited that they're just on top of you while you do things, because it's like playing in a little toy house or something. So you have to remember to tell them that no, that's real fire.
És més Jackie.
I quan cuinem és important tenir les portes obertes, amb un foc que sigui molt petit,
We have here the protein, the garlic, and the onion.
There's a place for everything.
Pretty much. If you don't have a lot of things, yes. I mean, we have actually 2 cabinets with food, and then we have a fridge, and the fridge is packed, it's small. I would say this stove is generous. Look the room you have. I just don't miss anything. I would probably have a smaller spoon here, and I wouldn't have my children very close to me. So this is the sink. So you can open it. You can open the sink down below. You want to use always. You know, you want your gray water to be just water. I'm not going to mess up with that. Just water, and if I use soap, it's going to be biodegradable, so 100%. We don't have a strainer because we actually thought about a strainer because we knew we were going to cook a lot of pasta, but we didn't want to have a lot of stuff in the car.
欢迎进入直播间。
So creating little spaces, little shelters, either provisional or permanent, is a human thing.
Summer bar.
It's like they're trying to be.
Are we in Oregon yet?
We are in Oregon. Well, what is that? What are they doing? Little tiny houses?
Looks like it. Creating little spaces, little shelters, either provisional or permanent, is a human thing. We just see the world, the universe from our shelter. Ecology, the word ecology comes from oikos, which is house or shelter for Greek, and logos, which is to learn or study or discipline. If you let me see the house of any person, I'll know that person better, have a feeling. And I think it's pretty much the same for other shelters, a little cabin for a writer or an artist type or a tree house or camper van, you know, house on wheels. Any space that is created as a shelter, that's something very intimate, very related to us. That's why it's very sad sometimes to see this sort of homogeneous big boxes. Okay, so now getting to the other there. It's actually 6 feet. I should go there because I think Ines is under here. So I don't want to step on her. That's one thing you have to consider in such a small place. When you are either moving or moving things around or using things, you sort of consider the way they were, the way they are going to be afterwards. So you keep things clear in your mind. You don't have to use a lot of energy for these things. I think partners are probably best in this sort of very tight environments where we are 5, so we have a small interior here. So. Still the baby there?
Papa.
Where's the other way?
欢迎高不热进入直播间。
Modern materials, but at the same time, I have the feeling that a lot of people are taking too much in consideration space, the amount of square feet, rather than the quality of that space and location. And I wonder why sometimes. Really sure it's the amount of space in your living room where it's going to make you happy? Happier? can work in that. I think we can warm it up.
Maybe.
I want cabin. I want it warm.
Maybe, but let's turn the stove on. Papa can turn the stove on and warm it up. He just has to get everything ready.
The milk. Here we have the milk. You want it warm, Ximena? Oops, it works. This is like a kitchen, Ximena.
Where's Inez?
Yeah, this warms things up. Is it warm?
It is?
No, it's
欢迎大热气球进入直播间。欢迎韩少不是基佬进入直播间。
If you want to have the travel experience, sometimes the faster and more efficient you go, the less dirty you get with the trip.
Woo! It's cold, but it feels good. Woo! Cold.
Can I make a snowman?
Oh, hey! Cold, coldy, whose idea was that? Oh,
欢迎迷之假熊猫进入直播间。
From point A to point B is the trip for you, is what matters. The more sterile the way of transport, and you only see the landscape the same way the first users of our railway used to see it, as a diorama, as part of almost of a painting of something that doesn't touch you anymore, because nature just got detached. And in order to get some bathing and to get some dirt from the forest, some, I don't know, oils, you should get out there. Wow.